Welcome to this week's Sunday stream. It's great to have you with us again. Have you had a good week? What's been the best thing that's happened to you this week? For me, this week has felt really busy, but I can't put my finger on why. One major thing in the Bunting household this week was that at the start of the week, it was transfer deadline day for football clubs. So it was the last day that clubs could buy or sell players for the coming season. It's not normally something I would notice, but Steve is going to tell you a little bit about one of the players.
What did you learn from that?
Well, we learned that the players need to play to keep the sharpness. Of course, they haven't played for a while, some of these lads, and it showed that sharpness that you lack when you don't play regularly. Of course, some of these haven't really played since the lockdown. Played last time against Norwich. That's more than a month ago.
We understand Alexis Sanchez, obviously until now Manchester United player on loan at Inter, will be confirmed as an Inter player permanently tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so, and so I can confirm that. And Alexis had a good time over there, a good player. So we wish him all the best.
As you can see, for my sins, I'm a Man United fan and season ticket holder. And in January 2018, we were all excited at the signing of Alexis Sanchez. There was piano playing and selfies on the pitch, and everybody was excited that this person was now in the team. And then he decided not to bother to play football for United. He was absolutely utter pants. Played awful, didn't play at all, and was just an absolute utter waste of time. This is somebody who was being paid £391,000 a week. Now, I know that I get paid in godly money, but £391,000 a week is a bit of a joke. And it was only just over a year later, after all the fanfare and all the excitement, Ole Solskjaer bins him. You're out. Get out the club. Clear off.
I'll be honest, football isn't really my thing, but the boys in my house love it, and I'm pretty sure that Charlotte will be drawn in as well when she gets a bit bigger. You may love football, and that's great, but if you don't, then we're going to play another little game this morning. It's called Charades. You may have played it at home before. I'm going to draw some things, and I want to see if you can guess what they are. If you're watching this with other people, then see if you can take it in turns to guess them. You get a point for everyone that you guess right. Now, I'll confess now, I'm not very good at drawing. So if you don't guess them, we're going to assume that it's my fault for drawing them so badly. So after we've played the game, we're going to sing a great song to help us to celebrate. It's literally called Art of Celebration, and it's by a band called Rend Collective. Then we're going to hear a reading from the Bible, and then I'll tell you a bit about why we're playing charades in the first place.
place alone, somehow I stand where even angels fear to tread, invited by redeeming love before the throne of God above. He pulls me close with nail-scarred hands into his everlasting arms. When condemnation grips my heart and Satan tempts me to despair, I hear the voice that scatters fear. Oh, the great I am, the Lord is here. Oh, praise the one who fights for me and shields my soul eternally. Boldly I approach your throne, blameless now I'm running home. By your blood I come, welcomed as your own, into the arms of majesty. Behold the bright and risen sun, more beauty than this world has known. I'm face to face with love himself, his perfect spotless righteousness. Oh, 1,000 years, 1,000 terms are not enough to sing his praise. They're not enough. Only I approach your throne, blameless now I'm running home. By your blood I come, welcomed as your own, into the arms of
Jesus responded by telling still more stories. God's kingdom, he said, is like a king who threw a wedding banquet for his son. He sent out servants to call in all the invited guests, and they wouldn't come. He sent out another round of servants, instructing them to tell the guests, "Look, everything is on the table. The prime rib is ready for carving. Come to the feast." They only shrugged their shoulders and went off, one to weed his garden, another to work in his shop. The king told his servants, "We have a wedding banquet all prepared, but no guests. The ones I invited weren't up to it. Go out into the busiest intersections in town and invite anyone you find to the banquet." The servants went out on the streets and rounded up everyone they laid their eyes on, good and bad, regardless. And so the banquet was on, every place filled. When the king entered and looked over the scene, he spotted a man who wasn't properly dressed. He said to him, "Friend, how dare you come in here looking like that?" The man was speechless. Then the king told his servants, "Get him out of here, fast. Tie him up and send him away, and make sure he doesn't get back in." That's what I mean when I say, many get invited, only a few make it. So, did you work out what all of those things I drew earlier had in common? I know some of the drawings were a bit dodgy. The hats especially took a little while to work out what was going on. But what they all had in common is that they were all things you would find at a party. It's party time today. I love parties. It doesn't matter if it's my party or a friend's party, if it's a birthday party or a wedding. I'm there. What about you? Give the TV a wave if you love parties too. That's perfect, because today is all about parties. Jesus is telling another one of his stories with a meaning, a parable. This one is about a king whose son is getting married. So the king wants to show how excited he is and throws a huge party. Some of you, or your parents, may remember a few years ago when Prince William and Princess Catherine got married. There was a huge celebration with all of the important people invited to the church. But all over the country, people were having smaller celebrations together, mainly because of how excited everyone was about there going to be a royal wedding. But hardly any of those ordinary people got invited to the actual wedding. That was a big honour that was reserved for the special people. So you can imagine, in Jesus' story, the people the king invited would have been the same sort of people. All the important people in the kingdom who he wanted to impress and to keep as his friends. So all the preparation builds up and the day finally arrives. The party is ready, the food is on the table, and what happens? No one shows up. All the king's honoured guests had made excuses about why they couldn't be there. So I'm sure you can imagine he wasn't very happy. But he doesn't want his big party to go to waste. So he sends out all of his servants and tells them to just invite anyone who wants to come. It's like saying, go and wander up and down the high street and bring anyone who's got nothing better to do. It doesn't matter if they have any money, if they're a bit smelly, if they have a dodgy knee. They can all be my honoured guests instead. So the dinner table starts to fill up, not with people who were rich and famous, not with the king's friends and family, not with anyone special, but they all came, and the king was very happy. This is a picture of what heaven is going to look like. Filled not with all the rich and famous people, although some of them may be there, but with all the normal people, people who you pass on the street every day, people like you and me. And that makes God very happy. See, way back in the Old Testament, God chose the Jews as his special people. He told them how to live to be his friends, but they kept on breaking their promises and doing things wrong. And so eventually God sent Jesus, his very own son, to help them to get it right. And you know what? They rejected him as well. But when Jesus died on the cross, he opened up the invitation to heaven, to the King's party, to everyone who wasn't a Jew, which is great news for us. But then we get to that tricky line at the end of the story. When the king finds someone who wasn't properly dressed, he threw them out. That might sound a bit harsh at first glance, but in Jesus' time, wedding parties went on for days. So the man would have had loads of time to go and change into something a bit smarter for a wedding. This is actually a really important point, but one that can be a bit difficult for us to hear. Jesus always comes to find us where we are, but he doesn't let us stay as we are. When you think about it, no one really wants God to let everyone stay exactly as they are. What about the criminals, the robbers, or people who are hurting other people? God does love them too, but he doesn't want them to carry on hurting people. If we think back to our football transfers earlier, it shows us that actions have consequences. Getting into the club doesn't mean that you're going to stay in the club if you don't perform. We are all invited to the wedding party, but if we don't change to come in, then we won't be allowed to stay there. The clothes that we need to change into aren't smart dresses and suits. They are love, justice, truth, mercy, and holiness. And we show we've changed our clothes by the way we treat our friends and family, ourselves, and how we treat God. By always being kind and fair, and letting God be the king of our lives. So that is your challenge for this coming week. In what way can you change your clothes to let God know that he's the king? So as we think about that, we're going to pray to close. Dear God, thank you so much that Jesus always comes to find us where we are, and that we're welcome to your party in heaven. Help us this week to change our clothes and to love other people even when it's hard. We welcome you today as the King of our lives. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Now that's all for this week. Join us again next week, where we'll be learning about one of Jesus's friends called Luke. Thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. Bye.